I knew something was wrong the moment she brushed my arm away. We were at a small dinner with a few of her colleagues, sitting close enough that I could smell the faint citrus in her perfume. I slipped my arm around her shoulder in what should have been a casual, familiar gesture. Instead, she stiffened, removed my hand as though it burned her, and smiled thinly at the table as if nothing had happened. It wasn't just the rejection. It was the way she didn't even glance at me while doing it. As though I was an embarrassment, an unwanted weight dragging her down. My chest tightened, but I forced a smile, pretending it hadn't cut me open. And then, as if the universe was mocking me, her friend leaned in. Claire. The one who had always seemed just a little too comfortable around me. She slid her arm around my shoulders with a playful grin and whispered, "Hug me instead." Everyone laughed. Everyone except me. That moment lodged itself in my chest like a splinter, and I couldn't shake it. On the drive home, the silence between us was heavier than the hum of the tires on asphalt. "You didn't have to do that," I finally said, staring at the faint reflection of her face in the window. "Do what?" she asked flatly. "Push me away like that. In front of everyone." She sighed, long and exasperated. "You're overthinking. It wasn't a big deal." But it was. To me, it was a thunderclap. The doubts began to spread quietly at first, like cracks in glass. I noticed the way she guarded her phone more tightly, tilting the screen away, flipping it over when it buzzed. I caught half-smiles she thought I wouldn't see, her fingers flying across the screen with a kind of energy she hadn't shown toward me in months. When I tried to reach for her in bed, she'd turn away with a muttered, "Not tonight, I'm tired." But she wasn't tired when she dressed carefully for late meetings. She wasn't tired when she lingered in front of the mirror, adjusting her lipstick twice before heading out the door. And yet, every time suspicion reared its head, I crushed it down with denial. "This is my wife," I told myself. "She loves me. We're just going through a rough patch." It was Claire, ironically, who handed me the first real clue. We ran into each other at a cafe one Saturday afternoon. She seemed surprised to see me alone. "No date today?" she teased, stirring her coffee. "Date." I frowned. She blinked, lips parting slightly as though she'd said too much. "Oh, I just meant never mind." I pressed, but she backtracked, smiling too brightly, her eyes darting. The pit in my stomach deepened. That night, while my wife showered, I picked up her phone. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped it. I told myself I'd only look for a second, just enough to prove my fears wrong. But the truth was waiting. Messages. Dozens of them. Not just with one man, but several. Words dripping with flirtation, secrets, promises. Photos she'd sent, the kind she hadn't shared with me in years. My vision blurred. My throat closed. I wanted to smash the phone against the wall, but instead, I put it back exactly where I'd found it. She stepped out of the bathroom humming, steam curling around her, unaware that my world had just collapsed. The hardest part wasn't the betrayal itself. It was pretending I didn't know. I went through the motions, breakfast, work, polite conversations. Meanwhile, every glance at her was a reminder that the person I thought I knew was gone. My wife was a stranger wearing her skin. At times, anger surged so hot I wanted to scream at her, demand answers, throw her lies back in her face. But then cowardice, or maybe denial, pulled me back. If I didn't say it aloud, maybe it wasn't real. Maybe I could still salvage what was left. The breaking point came one evening when she said she was staying late at work. Something inside me snapped. Instead of going home, I drove to her office. I parked across the street and waited. Hours passed, until finally she emerged. Not alone, but with a man whose hand brushed hers as they laughed in the shadows. They didn't notice me. How could they? I was just another car in the dark. Watching them together was worse than any confession. It was final. It was truth carved in stone. When she came home, I was waiting at the kitchen table. "Good meeting?" I asked, my voice deceptively calm. She froze, keys dangling in her hand. "Why yeah. Long day." "Funny," I said. I didn't realize work involved holding hands in the parking lot. Her face drained of color. Silence stretched between us, thick and unbearable. Finally, she whispered, "It's not what you think." But it was exactly what I thought. And we both knew it. The days that followed were a blur of arguments, tears, and half-truths. She admitted to some things, denied others, twisted stories until I couldn't tell what was real anymore. I just felt trapped, she said once, eyes wet. I needed to feel alive again. And what was I supposed to say to that? That her need for excitement justified tearing me apart? That her restlessness excused shattering the vows we made? Every apology tasted hollow. Every excuse cut deeper. In the end, there was no dramatic explosion, no plates thrown or doors slammed. Just a slow unraveling, thread by thread. One morning, she packed a bag. I didn't stop her. I didn't beg. I simply watched as the woman I'd built a life with walked out of it, suitcase in hand, leaving behind only silence. Claire showed up a week later, her expression softer than I'd ever seen it. I heard, she said quietly. I'm sorry. I wanted to laugh. She had been part of this story from the start, though not in the way I'd feared. She reached for my hand, her touch warm. You didn't deserve this, she murmured. And for a fleeting second, her arm around me felt like comfort. But it wasn't. It was just another reminder of what I'd lost, and what could never be replaced. Now the house feels too big, too empty. I catch echoes of her voice in the hallways, the faint scent of her perfume on the pillows. But she's gone, and I am left with nothing but questions that have no answers. Trust, once broken, doesn't heal. It scars. And as I sit here, remembering the night she brushed my arm away, I realize that was the moment I lost her. Not when she lied, not when she cheated, but when she decided she didn't want my touch anymore. Everything else was just the aftermath.